Alright, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good evening so far. I am not playing Outer Wilds tonight, but we will continue with Chaos Head Noah. And so last time on this visual novel, Takumi encountered the girl with the sword again, and this was apparently his third encounter with her, because the first encounter was when he just like passed her by at school one day, and she tried to get his attention, but he just ignored her and walked on. And the second time was when he saw her standing out in the streets with like this huge sword that kind of looked like it was from an anime. And then I mean, he only saw her. They didn't actually like talk to each other or anything. And then the third encounter was last night, and this time they actually kind of talked to each other. Although really the only thing she wanted to know apparently was if he could see her sword, which of course he could. In fact, she even like swung it at him. And I think that was pretty much it. So, hey Zane, how you doing? Alright, man, let's continue. Of all the weeks to have to go to school 3 times, what a depressing day. I heard a strange cry a few meters away from me. It was so sudden, my body jerked in surprise. I looked toward the source of the noise, and it's his little sister. Anyway, Zane, you know what I found out today about Genshin Impact, Zane? Kind of a kind of a crazy story, but I mean, you've probably heard some weird stories about Genshin Impact fans and them like freaking out over different things that have happened with Genshin Impact. But kind of recently, I think this was just a few months ago. Apparently, some of the male fans were like very anti-Wanderer. Like they fucking hated the Wanderer, right? In fact, they hated him so much that they didn't even really like think of him as a fictional character. They thought of him as like an actual enemy. And I guess the reason that they didn't like the Wanderer is because he, like a bunch of girls liked him, and so they were like jealous of him. And they thought he was like all bratty, and they didn't like his attitude and shit. Which, I mean, makes sense, right? I mean, the Wanderer started out as a bad guy in the story, So of course he's gonna like have a shitty attitude because he's a bad guy. But uh, apparently, like at least one fan like hated the Wanderer so much that like since the Wanderer I guess is associated with cats, they actually like uh they actually like abused and like killed real life cats and then like posted pictures of what they did to the cats on like the Genshin Impact Discord or some shit. It's like, what the fuck, dude? I mean, okay, yeah, it's one thing to like not like the character, but it's another thing to like obsessively hate him so much that you like fucking commit animal abuse in real life and like that's just so fucked up, dude. Makes no goddamn sense. Anyway, it kind of I guess it kind of um fits with this visual novel because there's like some really fucked up shit going on in this visual novel too. So anyway, yeah. Did he get locked up? I hadn't heard if he got any kind of punishment or anything. Nanami ran over to me at incredible speed. I tried to escape, but it was too late. She got in front of me, blocking me in. She'd always been really athletic.
ちょっと、なんで妹見て逃げるの?
Because you're obnoxious, obviously.
あ、そうやってすぐ黙るし。
Really? Why did my sister decide to go to Suimei Academy of all the places she could have gone? It was a huge pain from my perspective. Whenever I saw her at school, she'd come over and annoy me.
ねえねえ、携帯どう？使ってる？使ってないでしょ。買ってからもう何日か経ってるけど、一度も家にかけてこないもんね。
I tried to walk fast to shake her off, but she followed me, refusing to give up.
家に生存報告の電話ぐらいしなよ。そのために買ったんだから。
I love how they do like the sideways lips and they even make them go like twitchy when she talks. It's funny.
どうしても嫌なら、その7の携帯にかけるだけでもいいからさ。お母さん心配してるんだからね。そもそもちゃんとご飯食べてんの？どうせコンビニ弁当ばっかなんでしょ？やっぱお兄に一人暮らしは無理なんだよ。家に帰ってきなよ。ナナがどんな気持ちでお兄の様子見に行ってるか分かってる？いつも心配でしょうがないんだからね。
Shut up! What is your problem? Are you my mom? And why do you have to talk about this in the middle of the street anyway? I'm already in a bad mood, and you're just making it worse. Dude, I don't know why he has such a negative attitude towards his sister. I mean, I get, like, she might be annoying and shit, but, like, bro. I think he like completely misunderstands her. It's incredibly embarrassing to have to go to school with your younger sister next to you. Sure, it happened a lot in H games. In fact, I loved it when it happened in H games. But Nanami wasn't nearly as good as a 2D girl. Somebody give me a cuter little sister. Nanami and I walked toward the school side by side, a bad mood simmering between us. I looked over at her, hoping I could get a chance to escape before we reached the school gate. She'd been so mad a moment ago, but now she was quiet and seemed kind of out of it. Her eyes looked like they were drifting out of focus. Or was that my imagination? Her footsteps were unsteady. Just as I realized something was wrong, she stepped out into the road. A car was coming right in front of her. I grabbed her and pulled her close. The car drove past, its horn blaring. She narrowly avoided being run over.
お前、何やってんだ。
あれ?
She seemed confused. Her eyes were blinking rapidly.
ナナ、今なんであんなこと。あれ?
Was she a total moron? Why didn't she know what she'd just done? Just to be clear, this wasn't Moe at all. Not Moe in the slightest.
何やってるんだよ。車にひかれたいのか。
車なんて来てた?
Of course there was. Was she going senile on me?
ねえお兄、今ヒュンヒュンヒュンっていう音聞こえなかった?
Huh? What was she talking about? I hadn't heard anything at all.
その音聞いてたらね、なんだかぼんやりした感覚になって。で、あそこに。
Nanami pointed to the corner.
お父さんとお母さんが立ってて、ナナを呼んでたの。
I looked where Nanami pointed. It wasn't my parents there, just some creepy guy. He wore a checkered shirt, fingerless gloves, jeans with the legs rolled up, and white sneakers. The backpack he also wore was stuffed full. He looked like any otaku you'd see in Akihabara. And he even had a video camera in his hand. Maybe he was some kind of peeping Tom.
おい、他人を指さすな。
What a rude little sister she was. Why would our parents be here anyway? Our home was in Shimoki Tozawa.
おかしいな。確かに呼ばれたのに。
The man looked at us. He was pointing his camera at me and Nanami. Ew, what was his problem?
行くぞ、ナナミ。
I got scared and ran away, leaving my sister behind.
あ、お兄、ちょっと待ってよ。
Okay. I don't know, dude. Takumi's just... whatever. I managed to ignore Nanami until we got to the school. then headed down the bustling hallway toward my own class. When I walked down the hall, I always walked on the side. I'd always make sure to go at the proper speed, not too fast and not too slow. I'd make sure to keep my head down so I didn't meet anybody's gaze. These were my 3 rules. I needed to be like the air, invisible, if I didn't want to stand out. That was my way of surviving in this world.
Yo, Taku.
Once again, however, someone appeared who would make doing so impossible. Misumi ran up to me from behind and, as always, gave me a too friendly slap on the shoulder.
おいっす挨拶ぐらいしろって。ま、お前がそういうやつだってのは分かってるけどよ。なあ、この前 D 組の女子の話したよな。めったに学校来ねえけど、すげえ可愛い女子がいるって。その子、岸本綾瀬って名前なんだけどよ。実はその岸本に関してすげえ発見したんだ。
He suddenly lowered his voice and looked around to make sure nobody was listening. He was probably about to say something dirty again. I felt vaguely sick and was ready to let out a huge sigh.
フェスいるだろ？フェス。
But when I heard what he said, I gasped.
その岸本ってのがフェスなんだよ。
Really? So Fess goes to their school, huh?
俺マジビビったぜ。まさかフェスがうちの学校の生徒だなんてよ。しかも俺らとタメだってことだぜ。
For some reason, he decided to lean out a nearby window and look up at the sky with an expression of joy.
運命ってきっとこういうことを言うんだな。
We were on the 3rd floor. If he slipped and fell, he'd snap his neck and die. I felt tense just watching him. He leaned forward even further and looked down at the entrance to the school.
噂をすればなんとやらだタク。岸本を発見した。もうすぐここに来るぜ。え？
Well, that was a crazy coincidence. Maybe there was some kind of fated connection between them, like he said. Not that I cared.
よし、待ち構えてやる。見てろタク。俺のナンパ術ってのを見せてやるよ。
There was a note of total confidence in his voice. It must be nice to be attractive. Ugh. Picking up girls was a foreign world to me. Not that it was one I had any interest in. Yeah, this is the same girl that we saw at that bridge that one time. I figured that she was the same girl as Fess, so. A minute or so later, Fess, wait, her real name was Ayase Kishimoto, right? Appeared. Misumi was right. It was clearly her. I stood back, a good distance away, and looked at her carefully. It was a shock to see that she was the same age as me. Fess was wearing her Suime uniform and walking slowly with a look of ennui on her face. Is that her? Well, this is Fess, the lead singer of that band that he went to see perform that one time. She looked like a completely different person than the way she'd been on stage. When she was singing, there'd been a sense of power and motion in her voice, even when she was speaking softly. But now she just looked kind of sad and unapproachable. Misumi must have seen it and decided to deliberately ignore it, because he walked right up to her side with the same over-friendly attitude he always used with me.
Yo, Kishimoto-san. Oh, hayo.
Wow, what a brilliant but completely fake smile. How could you act that way with somebody you'd never met before? You know, it's funny he asked that question because there were certain people I remember growing up where I thought the exact same thing. I'm just like, how is it that you've only known this person for like maybe a week and you're already like, yeah, it just didn't make sense to me. He was an inspiration, an idol, but not someone I wanted to copy. Not in the slightest.
あ、俺、三角大輔。よろしく。おっと、初対面とか思ってるだろう。でも違うんだな、これが。俺さ、こないだ、ファンタズムのライブ行ったんだよね。だから、君に会うのは2度目。で、その時君の歌声に、こう、なんつうの？ビビってきちゃったんだ。別に俺ミーハーとかじゃねえよ。惹かれたのはさ、詩とか君の可愛さとかそういうところもあるけど、でも何より一番すげえって思ったのはやっぱバンドとしての完成度っつうか。
Bro, she hadn't said a damn thing back to him yet.
あの音あっての君の歌声っつうの。ちなみに俺も実はバンドやりたいなって思っててさ、よかったらああいういいバンドメンバーを見つけるコツとか、バンドの先輩としての心得みたいなもの教えてくんねえかな。あ、今すぐじゃ迷惑だろうから、そうだな、放課後とか暇？どっかで二人きりでじっくり話さない？
I feel like this dude right here could literally have a conversation with a brick wall. Like, oh my gosh. Misumi kept talking and talking. The way he spoke was different than usual, and his voice was louder and more cheerful. And he wasn't directly hitting on her either. He was talking about her band as an excuse to go out with her. I'd never heard anything about Misumi wanting to start a band. It had to be a lie. I understood now. He wasn't just hoping the two of them had something in common. He was setting it up so that they would. But Fess didn't even look at him. She walked right down the hallway as if she didn't hear anything at all.
なあ、聞いてる？
Fess suddenly stopped. She looked up, ever so slightly and slowly, and looked right at me. Huh? Me? I remembered how it felt like Fess was looking at me at the concert. Over the last 2 weeks, a lot of 3D girls had been staring at me. What was going on with that? Had I suddenly gotten really attractive? I looked away, of course. So my gaze only met hers for a second.
見つけて早く剣
Bro, these people all, like, know about this shit, and Takumi is just, like, completely out of the loop. Poor guy. What, you mean Misumi? Shit. I mean, well, if Misumi is to be believed, then he's getting plenty of girls. Like, he's a total playboy, so I could care less if one girl happens to ignore him. Fess suddenly spoke. Her words were cold and soft. I couldn't tell if they were directed to me or Misumi.
剣って？
そうすれば君は救われる
Well, he already found it. Fess looked down without waiting for an answer and began to walk once more. She went past us and into Class D's classroom. Both me and Misumi watched her go, confused.
なあ、タグ。
I could tell he was in a bad mood. Despite all his best efforts, Fess had completely ignored him. Having someone refuse to even acknowledge you exist must be pretty painful. I was used to that, though.
俺はここまでプライドをズタズタにされたのは初めてだ。自信なくすぜ。くそ。ちょっと有名人だからって調子乗りやがって。あんな不愛想な女、もう二度と相手にしてやるもんかよ。
An ice bitch.
あー、うぜえ。大体何が剣を見つけろだ。わけわかんねえ。
The sword. Did she mean that thing at the concert? The one that looked like a mic stand? Come to think of it, just 2 days ago, somebody else had asked me about a sword. The girl named Senna. She was really scary. I thought she might actually kill me. That sword she'd been holding was shaped differently, but it was similar to the one that Fess had at the concert. Was there some kind of connection between the two? I didn't understand. There was far too much I didn't understand. Shogun, the demon girl, Yua, Fess, Senna, the swords. Like always, whenever I didn't understand something, I made a little list inside my head. I thought about adding myself to the bottom of the list, but stopped. I was just fine. It was everything else around me that was weird. Yeah, I was just fine. Was Fess on my side? Or was she my enemy? That was all I needed to know, but I didn't have the courage to talk to her. Anyway. Today I went to Animate instead of going to At Cafe. Why? To get my long-awaited Bloodtoon Seiraton Post-Awakening version figure. Oh shit, does that mean he's gonna cross paths with Yua again? When I bought it, I saw an image of Yua's face in my mind for just a second. But I quickly shut down that line of thought. There was a Seraton display at the store, and the figure they had out for show was every bit the quality work I'd come to expect from its designer, Yoshio Kijima. Time to head home and stare at every inch of her body. All I had to do to be happy was play ESO and stare at Seraton once in a while. So why were these 3D people bringing all their problems to me? Why did this keep happening? As I forgot all about Fess and the swords and was happily returning to the base, I ran into a pair of men who looked out of place just 50 meters or so from home. I tried to avert my gaze and avoid them, but one of them was clearly looking directly at me.
そこの君、ちょっといいかい?
Alright, well this isn't good, because these guys are police investigators, so... yeah. They must have figured out who the person was in those photos. The one who spoke to me first was an unimpressive-looking middle-aged man, the kind you might see at a betting track. His hair was a mess, and he had stubble on his chin. His suit was tattered, and his necktie wasn't tied right. His leather shoes showed no sign of ever being cleaned, and he just looked like an overall loser. For some reason, he was waving a cheap 100-yen paper fan at himself, which only added to the impression that he was one of life's losers. He had a dopey look on his face, too. A really stupid-looking grin. But when I met his gaze for a second, I saw no traces of that stupid grin reflected in them. There was nowhere to run. As I stood there, unsure of whether or not to answer, the two of them walked over to me.
おじさん、こういうものなんだけどさ。
He took out a black notebook with an ID on the flap and showed it to me. It was a police notebook, like you saw on TV shows. They'd finally come for me. There was only one reason I could think of: the crucified killing.
ちょっと話を聞かせてもらっていいかい? もちろん強制じゃないんだけどね。あ、そんな身構えなくていいよ。本当話聞くだけだから。
There was absolutely no pressure in his voice, but the other detective with him, the younger one, had a stern look on his face and had quietly moved to block my path. I started to sweat. If I said the wrong thing here, they might think I was the killer and arrest me. Please, no. I gave up on running and nodded very slightly.
君さ、俗に言うニュージェネレーションの狂気って知ってるかな?
I knew it. I wiped the sweat off my brow and nodded.
じゃあ、3番目に起きた通称貼り付け殺人事件も当然知ってるよね。この近所で起きたわけなんだけども、その目撃者を探してるわけよ。あ、ちなみに君、名前聞かせてくれる?
I gulped. Was this whole thing a Kome's trap? Maybe they were just pretending to be police, trying to get me to reveal my private information so they could use it for something bad. Or maybe they were working with the demon girl.
あれ、答えてくんないのかな?
There was no way to be sure either way. What should I do? If I gave them a fake name, they might arrest me.
ああ、個人情報保護法とか気にしてる？おじさんそんなに信用なさそうに見えるかな。
You do. That friendly way you're talking to me is just an act, right?
西条匠。
In the end, I couldn't come up with any brilliant plans to talk my way out of this, so I decided to just tell the truth.
西条匠くんでいいかい？
I nodded.
本当に？
Huh? What the hell did that mean? I was nice enough to give you my real name. Why are you reacting like that?
いや、これは失礼。今のは気にしないでくれ。
His laugh was a little too loud to be real. It echoed throughout the quiet street. I want to go home.
その制服、水明だよね。何年生？
Did I have to tell him that too?
悪いね。聞き取れなかった。おじさん、もう年だから耳遠くてさ。もう一度言ってくれる
？2年生。
ああ、2年生ね。どうも。で、西条さん。聞きたいことってのは、先月の29日の午後6時から10時頃にかけて、どこで何してたかなんだわ。
Was this one of those alibi things? Did they suspect I'd done it? No way.
いや、別に君を疑ってるわけじゃなくてさ。その時間にこの近くにいたなら、怪しい人物を見かけたとか、何か音を聞いたとか、ないかと思ってね。
The way he talked was starting to really make me mad. Maybe it was some kind of special technique he used to anger the people he was talking to. But I had seen someone suspicious. I'd gotten a clear look at them. I wasn't sure if it was safe to tell him, though. What if I did and the demon girl came after me? For now, she seemed to be leaving me alone, but she had Shogun with her, and he could see the future. She must have all kinds of crazy powers herself. It was the only explanation. If I told the police about the demon girl, she might find out about it with her clairvoyant powers, and then she might come to kill me.
なあ、西条くん。今日はそんなに暑いか？
My pulse quickened. If I didn't answer, they were sure to think I was the criminal. But it felt like if I said I hadn't seen anything, they'd see right through me. The man waved his fan at me. Cool air ruffled my hair.
もうすっかり秋だ。汗かくほど暑いとは思えんけどな。まあ、体質ってのは人それぞれだしな。
It was strange to hear that from a man who carried a fan around. But he was right. It wasn't that hot today. It was a pleasant temperature, if anything. I wiped away the sweat from my brow with my sleeve.
僕はやってない。
おお。
His eyes changed. I knew I'd screwed up, but I didn't know how.
何をやっていないんだ？
He suspected me. I had to tell him. I stared at the cover of the manhole near my feet as I yelled.
見たんです。貼り付けの現場、そこに女がいたんです。で、血まみれにして死体の前に杭がたくさん死体に突き刺さってて、あれ500本は絶対超えてた。異常だ。死体がハリネズミみたいになってて、女は僕を見てよかったって笑ってた。あの女は悪魔だ。人間じゃない。ニュージェネの母親には人を超えた存在なんだ。ヨシとかすごい超能力とか使う。
Only then did I realize that the two detectives were looking at me with their mouths wide open in shock. Maybe they didn't believe me. I fell silent again.
悪魔か。なるほどね。そいつは参考になったよ。
本当です。
ああ、分かってる分かってる。貴重な情報だよ。
僕を警察で守ってください。
その前にその女の年は分かる？服装とか顔の特徴とか。
水明。
水明って水明学園？
その制服着てた。
つまり西条君と同じ学校の生徒か。
He thought for a moment and then grinned. It was hard to tell if his next words were a question or a whisper.
何年生だろうな、その女子高生は。何年生だと思う？西条君。
わからない。
じゃあなんて名前だと思う？
What do you think her name is, bro? What kind of a fucking question is that?
わからないよ。僕はあの悪魔の名前なんて知らない。
その女の身長、体重、あとついでに3サイズについて。
What? Who was this guy? Was he making fun of me? How the hell would I know any of that? I don't have the magic power of determining a girl's measurements just by looking at her, like the hero of some harem manga.
なるほど。黙ってるってことはわからないってことだね。結構。参考になったよ。これは本部に戻って検討しないといかんな。
先輩、マジっすか？
The older detective made a motion with his hand to silence the younger one, and then shot him a meaningful glance.
西条君、ちなみに連絡先とか教えてもらえる？
なんで？
They didn't believe me after all. They thought I was crazy. They were going to accuse me of doing it.
ああ、だって悪魔だっけ？ そいつから君を守らなくちゃならないだろ。
Oh, I see. Good. They believed me. I'd feel so much better if the police were protecting me. Of course, maybe even the police couldn't do anything about a demon, but it was better than being all alone. Feeling a little relieved, I took out my new phone and showed the detectives the number. The younger one copied it down.
いや、忙しいところありがとうさ。君の身の安全は警察が保証するから、何の心配もしなさんな。じゃあ、また何か聞きたいことができたら電話するかもしんないんで、その時はよろしくね。イルスとか使わないでくれよ。今のところ警察にとっては君は重要な人物だからな。
え？
君の目撃証言は事件解決の重要な手がかりになりそうだ。じゃあな。
The two of them bowed and quickly left. The younger one was looking back at me and whispering something to his partner. The older one was walking quickly and ignoring him. I let out a deep sigh. Wow, that was nerve-wracking. I'd never been interrogated by a real police officer. It was pretty scary, but they seemed to believe me. Maybe. I hoped the police would catch the demon woman. But everybody said the police were incompetent, right? So I shouldn't get my hopes up too much. Only then did I notice how thirsty I was, so I bought a bottle of soda from a nearby vending machine.
うわ、覚醒バージョン残すエロすぎ。パンモノじゃんか。だがそれがいい。顔かわいいよ顔。原作再現度はいまいちだけど、プンプンと漂うエロスが木島よしおらしさだよな。これはこれでグッジョブ。
Good job.
上着キャストオフとか、この角度からじゃほとんど全裸にしか見えんひょー。髪の動きがいいよな。覚醒バージョンは髪が命って持論があるわけだが、間違ってなかったな。さて、それではお待ちかね、パンツいってみようか。どれどれ。V ゾーンの作り込みいいよ。シワのつき方リアルだしって。これスージーさんすげえ。マジですげえ。クオリティ高すぎ。
Takasugi. Too high. This particular expression is a complicated kanji pun. Okay.
これセーラタン5作目にして早くも最高傑作爆誕じゃねえ。これ以上すごいのなんて出せないってマジで。やっぱ木島は神。
I carefully placed my new Seraton next to the PC monitor. Sarah, you're so sexy. Just looking at her made me grin. This was a moment of pure joy. I logged on to @chan to share my thoughts on the Seraton figure. When that was done, I checked my email and looked at Freipara to see if I had any new friend requests.
おっと、前触れ申請来てるじゃん。誰これ？セーラコミュの人か。はいはい、ゲイですよ。
It just was when I was ready to log into ESO, I felt a prickling on the back of my neck. It was the same intense gaze that I always felt. Damn it, not now. When did I first start feeling that gaze? I'd totally forgotten by now. But it kept getting in my way. A lot of things were happening that would interrupt my daily life, but the gaze was right up there with Nanami for being obnoxious. Okay, time to play the game again. Time to play the I'm not turning around that easily game. I kept my eyes locked on my computer monitor and tried to think of a cool line.
貴様出てこい。僕の目をごまかせるとでも思ったか。甘いな。
There was no answer. Of course there wasn't. It'd be scary if there was one.
え
I heard a noise. I turned around to look before I realized what I was doing. I'd lost today's Don't Turn Around game. There was nobody in my room. Was I hearing things? I hoped so, I told myself. Again. I heard the sound again. I couldn't lie to myself anymore. It was the sound of somebody knocking on the door. Which meant someone was here. Nobody ever came here. Even the people selling newspapers wouldn't come all the way up here. Who could it be? A delivery guy? No, I wasn't getting any packages today. Nanami? No, Nanami would pound louder and harder, and then she'd scream, "Brother, open up!" I'd recognize it if it were her. Yua? That was likely. She'd been here once before. Had the demon girl sent her here to kill me? But if so, why would she go through the trouble of knocking? The knocking sound kept coming. I froze, trying to figure out what to do, but no good ideas came to me. I just kept getting more and more scared. I know. I could just pretend to not be here. Or is that just being paranoid? But I should be careful, right? Shibuya's been really dangerous lately. And if it was Yua, I couldn't let her in. I'd basically be asking for her to kill me. Wait, did I lock the door? I looked over toward it to see. It was too dark to tell if the door was locked, however. I softly stood up, walking over the door, while being as careful as possible not to make any noise.
Huh.
By the time I made it to the middle of the room, I was finally able to tell for sure. The door wasn't locked. A cold chill ran down my entire body. My heart beat faster from nervousness. Right now, anybody could just walk right in and kill me. I needed to hurry and lock the door. If I made any kind of noise, it would be obvious I was here, but it would be better than letting someone inside. I ran over to the door and stepped on the container of a convenience store dinner I'd bought. I slipped and fell right on my butt. I moaned from the intense pain. And then the door slowly began to open right before my eyes. I didn't know who it was, but whoever'd been knocking was now opening the door. I tried to force myself to stand up, but my body refused to move from the pain. All I could do is watch it open as tears ran down my face. First, I saw the hand. The sleeve was from a Suime Academy uniform. I could tell that much. Then the hair. It was a little longer than Nanami's, but it was shorter than Yua's. I didn't know who it belonged to. And then I saw the face peeking out from the other side of the door.
こんにちは。
And then I knew who it was. Someone unexpected. The worst possible someone. My vision threatened to go black from sheer despair. It was the demon girl. It was the demon girl.
いたいた。
Our eyes met. She suddenly smiled happily. Her smile made me shiver.
もう、どうしてすぐ返事してくれないの？
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Her other hand was still behind the door. She must be holding one of those cross-shaped stakes in it. She was here to kill me at last. She was smiling with joy at the thought of killing me. It was because I'd talked to those cops. She'd used her clairvoyant powers to see me doing it remotely. Don't kill me! I tried to scream, but I was too scared to get the words out.
コロッケ？
She stared at me, tilting her head, and recited a strange spell. She must be speaking in the demon language. She was going to curse me. I crawled away, trying to get as much distance between me and her as possible. My hands kept slipping on the garbage as I crawled, but I managed to make it to the far end of the room and hide under my computer desk.
ねえ、入っていいかな？っていうか、入っちゃいます。
The demon girl came inside. She even took her shoes off.
お邪魔しちゃった。あ、散らかってても私平気だから気にしないでね。
The door shut. Now there was nowhere to run. But surprisingly, the only thing she was carrying was her bag. I didn't see any kind of weapon. No, it had to be in that bag. I couldn't let my guard down. The second I let my guard down, she would come for me. Or maybe that spell a second ago had cursed me. In a few days, my body might start spouting blood from all its pores, and then I'd die.
頼むよ。殺さないで。
I curled up into a little ball on the floor, cursing the detectives I'd met earlier.
警察に喋ったこと謝るから。
警察？
それに話してもちっとも信じてもらえてなかったし。
That was just a lie I'd said to buy time. The detectives had said they'd protect me. If that older guy was doing his job right, he'd surely send an officer to protect me. Then I realized I'd told the officer my phone number, but I hadn't given him my address.
石？
She suddenly struck a pose, like she was at attention. And then, even more strange, she made the sound effect of her hand snapping to attention with her mouth. Was this another demon spell?
独り言はやめるべし。殺さないでとか警察がどうとか私には何のことかさっぱりだよ。
She didn't know? Was this some kind of joke? Or was this her way of telling me to forget that anything had ever happened? What was this girl thinking? Hadn't she come here to kill me?
ほら立てる？立とう。
The demon walked over to me and offered a hand. Her expression looked so kind, and up close, I could tell that she was pretty cute. Wait, what had gotten into me? She was a demon. She wasn't pretty cute. She was a murderer. She'd used Yua and Shogun to try and set me up. And now she was here to kill me herself. I couldn't let myself believe her. I'd learned my lesson with Yua. I'd never make the same mistake again. I didn't take the hand she'd offered me. Hold on a sec. Never mind. I couldn't let her smile fool me. It was a demonic temptation, and if I gave in to it, I'd die. Don't believe in anything. Don't listen to anything anyone says.
だって見たんだ。お前が人を殺してるとこ。
あのさタク、それかなりひどいこと言ってるって気づいてる？まさか殺人犯呼ばわりされるなんてね。
What was she doing here?
ニュージェネの
Like the other 4 times.
殺すんでしょ。それとも岩とか将軍とかがいる場所に連れてって。
ユア？将軍？誰それ？
Maybe the 3 of them were going to work together and kill me when I was helpless.
そんなの嫌だ。助けて。
じゃあね、私を殺人犯扱いしなければ助けてあげる。
I knew it.
そんな なビビらないでよ。いちいち私がへこむようなリアクションしてくれるよね。
お願いだ、もう二度と誰にも喋らないから、だから見逃して。
もしもーし、タク、ちょっと落ち着こう。
She kept calling me Taku like we were friends. How did she know my name anyway? She'd known my name when we'd first met at the scene of the crucified killing. How? And how did she know where the base was?
当然でしょ。あなたの名前を知ってるのは。
She read my mind. She had magic clairvoyant powers. I knew it. That's how she found my name and address.
タクって結構独り言多いよね。前から思ってたことだけど。
Always? Since when was always? Wait, was I talking to myself? I couldn't tell. Really? Was I really talking to myself? Or was it possible she was lying? Was it possible she read my mind?
タクの名前を知らないわけないよ。私、物覚えはそんなに良くない方だけど。友達の名前くらい覚えるよ。
Friend?
それともタク、私のことバカにしてる？そりゃ私、テストの点数はそんなに良くないけど。面と向かってそういうこと言われると傷ついちゃうな。
Was she crazy? Wait, how could I be sure she was the crazy one? Was I crazy? Or was she?
もしかして転校生？
そういえば近いうちに転校生が来るらしいよ。スカチン先生が言ってた。
We were talking past each other. The fear that I could be killed at any moment was starting to fade. But instead, another type of fear was slowly working its way through my heart.
もしもし？その顔はまさか、まだ信じてくれてない？
誰だ？
Who are you? She was a murderer. The demon girl.
タクこそクラスメートの顔を覚えてないんだ。ひどー。
We're classmates? Not just friends, but classmates?
でもまあしょうがないか。タクはあんまり学校来ないのね。だからって私の存在丸ごとなかったことにするのはどうかと思う。ちなみに名前も忘れちゃってるわけかな。はいはい、そうなのね。ショック。じゃあ思い出させてあげますよっと。私は崎畑凛美。リアクションなしかい。崎畑凛美、思い出した？
I'd never even heard the name Rimi Sakihata before. The only 3D girl I knew who would talk to me like this was Yua anyway. And Yua worked for her. In a flash, I suddenly understood. This Sakihata girl was using the same trick Yua had used. She was being all friendly, knowing that I wasn't used to talking to 3D girls. Then she'd set me up for a trap. Of course, I didn't remember the faces of all my classmates, and I wasn't interested in trying. But I was sure I'd never seen her in my class, wasn't I? No, I couldn't be sure. Every minute I spent at school, I spent at my desk, either enjoying delusions while pretending to sleep, or staring at the desk, or pretending to read a textbook. I didn't remember any of my classmates' names. I'd never cared enough to. Which was it? Was what this girl was saying true? No, it didn't matter whether or not she was a classmate. The one thing I was sure of was that she was a murderer.
たく記憶力ゼロ？まあいいや。じゃあ大臣に聞いてみて。大臣だよ、大臣。三角大輔。
え？
She knew Misumi's name? And she called him Daichin. You wouldn't do that unless you were pretty friendly with him.
というわけで、はい。
The demon girl found my phone on the sofa and picked it up, offering it to me. She wanted me to call Misumi, maybe? I didn't like calling people, but if I didn't do it, she might kill me. Helplessly, I decided to call him, but I realized I didn't know Misumi's phone number. I froze. The demon girl seemed confused before going around to my side and looking over at the phone. Her hair rustled a little, and I could smell the sweet scent of her shampoo. She was a demon. I couldn't let her tempt me. I wasn't into 3D girls. Seiretan, give me power.
もしかして番号知らない？だったら先にそう言ってくれなきゃ。ごめんごめん。
She apologized and took the phone from my hand. For a moment, our fingers touched. She was warm. I guess even a demon had the same blood in her veins as a human.
大臣の番号はね、ほいほいほいの。
She quickly tapped in the number. From the speed she typed it in at, it had to be one she knew well.
ほーい、つながった。
She offered me the phone. I didn't know what to do, so I took it and held it to my ear. I could hear the sound of the ringing, but then the sound cut off, and instead I heard Misumi's voice. Someone answered. The person on the phone didn't give their name. They must have been outside somewhere downtown, because I could hear the hustle and bustle of a crowd around them. I really hated phone calls. I couldn't be sure if I was even talking to Misumi. The voice sounded similar, but maybe slightly different.
タク、大地出た？
She was staring at me again, this time from right in front of me. Damn it. Why did she have to be so close to me? I turned my back to her and steeled myself.
西。
おう、タクか。
Was it just me, or was Misumi acting weird? How had he known it was me so quickly? All I'd said was Nishi.
見慣れない番号だったから誰かと思ったぜ。お前、もしかして携帯買ったのか？
It was possible that she was just having me call somebody with a voice similar to his to fool me. The person with the Misumi-like voice was working for her, maybe, and trying to trick me. Maybe the demon girl knew that I didn't have Misumi's real number and had set this up from the start. I was starting to get suspicious of everything. I didn't know what was the truth and what was a lie. Assuming the demon girl was willing to put in the time and effort to set up a trap like that, what kind of trap was it specifically? Wouldn't it be faster for her to just kill me here? Or was there some reason that I had to be deceived? Even if it meant doing so in a really roundabout way. Wait, could it be some kind of trick Misumi was setting up? This girl was his girlfriend and not a classmate at all, but someone he sent just to make fun of me. No, wait, not a chance. How'd you explain the crucified murder then?
タク、なんか用か？お前から連絡してくるなんて珍しいこともあるもんだな。ま、俺としては野郎からの電話なんてあんま嬉しくねえんだけどな。
It certainly sounded like Misumi. The more I heard him talk, the less likely it seemed that the person I was talking to could be anybody but Misumi.
女の口説き方でも教えてもらいたいのか？なわけねえか。
I wasn't sure where to start. I could feel someone looking at me from behind. The girl was staring at me. And the prickling on the back of my neck was still there. What was the look on her face now? I wanted to look back and see, but I was too scared.
用がねえなら切るぞ。お前の無言電話に付き合ってるほど暇じゃねえんだ。今、女と一緒だからよ。だからなんだよ。用があるなら早く言って。なんだよ。早く言えって。
うちのクラス。
ああ、うちのクラスがどうした？
いる？
何が？
女子。
あ？
咲畑って名前の。
I was stammering really badly, but I finally managed to explain to him. He suddenly fell silent. There was no answer, but I could still hear the bustle of the crowd, so he hadn't hung up. Why wasn't he answering? Bro, what the fuck? I heard a massive sigh. Gaming brain. I'd never actually heard of this. Kind of interesting. What was he talking about? And anyway, it wasn't true that video games damage your brain. Why?
お前いくら3次元の女に興味ねえからってあいつのことまで忘れるか。俺はともかくお前は1年の時から同じクラスだったろ。この前だって3人で一緒に映画見に行ったじゃねえか。
Wait, what? I couldn't grasp what this Misumi-like person was saying. The demon girl and I had been in the same class the whole time? The three of us went to see a movie the other day? When was the other day?
俺がお前とダチになったのだって最初はリミに付き合わされたのがきっかけだったしな。俺と同じでリミも物好きだからよ。ニートのお前を気にかけてやってるのは世界広しといえど俺とリミぐらいだぜ。あ、それは言い過ぎか。
Not a single one of the words coming through the phone felt real. How could they? None of the things he was describing existed in my memories. I couldn't accept that they'd ever happened. What this Misumi-like person was telling me wasn't true. It wasn't real. If something really happened, you'd remember it.
ていうか、リミってマジで女っ気ないよな。おっと、これはあいつには言うなよ。
君は誰だ？
おいおい、マジでおかしくなったか。俺のことまで忘れたわけか。永遠のやりすぎ。
I couldn't take anymore, so I hung up the phone. I suddenly realized that I was having trouble breathing. The sweat coming off my brow showed no signs of stopping. If anything, it was getting worse. I could feel it dripping off me and landing on the ground below.
たく、汗びっしょりだよ。
The demon girl looked genuinely worried as she handed me a handkerchief. It was a cute red one with no pattern on it. The handkerchief had a slight floral scent. I didn't take it. Instead, I tried to get straight in my head what was going on. It didn't work, though. I just started getting suspicious of everything. Well, I think I already know what's actually going on. I think it's just it's like I kind of mentioned earlier. I think Takumi here just has a multiple personality thing going on, and he can't remember anything from when he's the other personality.
で、大臣はなんて？
She gave a slightly disappointed sigh as she put away the handkerchief. Then she took on a victor's smile. It was as if she'd known the answer from the start. I didn't have the strength to answer her. Who was this woman? Just my classmate? Or a monster? I didn't know. Maybe I was just crazy. Thinking back to my chat with Shogun, I couldn't be sure that somebody wasn't controlling my body. Or maybe there was some kind of accident that took my memories of this Rimi Sakihata girl away from me and left my other memories intact. What the hell was wrong with me? Amnesia? Sleepwalking? Something else?
大丈夫？体、辛いならソファーで横になる？
The demon girl spoke kind words to me. I needed to be especially careful around anyone who said kind words to me. Anybody who'd be nice to a creepy otaku like me definitely had some kind of ulterior motive. I shook my head no, and then forced myself to look up. The sweat got in my eyes and made my vision blurry. Her face was closer than I thought it would be. What color were her eyes?
なんで？
なになに？
ここにいる。
ああ、ごめんね、勝手に入っちゃって。でもノックしてたんだよ。タクは全然出てきてくれないし、中でものすごい音が聞こえてくるしで結構ハラハラしてたんだから。
なんで？
今度は何？
ここにいる。
I didn't mean why were you able to get inside? What was she even doing here? If she came here to kill me, why wasn't she doing anything?
ああ、ここに来た理由？ね。
Her hand went to her bag, and she took out a handout.
はい。進路希望のプリント持ってきてあげたの。
Post-graduation plans. I took it from her. It said post-graduation plans, with 3 blocks below for first preference, second preference, and third preference. Was that really it? Was that the only reason?
帰ってよ。
I didn't want anything to do with her. It was a terrible idea to get involved with 3D girls. This was some kind of trap. Don't listen to her. This isn't real. This is a video game. A really buggy game. Look at all these weird plot contradictions. It doesn't make any sense as a story.
僕に関わらないでよ。
If you're not here to kill me, then just go away. I'm me, not somebody else. Maybe some other me was friends with Rimi Sakihata. That had nothing to do with the real me. I put my head in my hands and closed my heart to the outside world. I shivered. trying to imagine a delusion where the girl named Rimi Sakihata wasn't in my room. I soon heard the sound of the door opening, which told me that the demon girl had left. The only light in the dark room was the pale blue glow of the monitor. It was a screensaver featuring Seira, a character from Bloodtoon, the animation. Rimi Sakihata had been here in this container house just half a day ago, but now its only occupant was its owner, Takumi Nishijo. It was getting close to 5 a.m. Wait, what the fuck? Takumi's daily life revolved around playing video games until dawn and then passing out on the sofa. Right now, he was curled up in a cramped position on the sofa. He didn't sleep on the bed. He had one, but he didn't sleep in it because it was piled too high with CDs and manga volumes. At first, he'd just been too lazy to clean it off, and then at some point, it began to function as a storage shelf. Ever since then, he'd been sleeping on the two-person sofa. Alright, I think I'm gonna stop here. Better let my brother get in here so he can go to sleep. Alright, man. I'll be back again tomorrow. I think I'm probably just gonna do Chaos Head again tomorrow. And then maybe some more VTuber clips as well, so. Alright. Thanks for coming and watching, Zane, and have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.